Hi guys, my name is Alec, and I'll be leading this presentation on how to build a personal brand. Please feel free to reach out at any time if you have any questions. You can always email us directly at kate@katewalling.com. For those of you who don't know Kate, she is a Silicon Valley marketing consultant. She helps high-growth companies with their marketing, and her team also provides on-demand marketing project management to busy marketing teams at large tech companies. This is one of Kate's favorite topics. We love to share information about it to help you on your career journey. If you've worked with Kate and her team before, you know that our favorite word is elevate. And that is why personal branding is one of our favorite topics. When you build a personal brand, you elevate your image to be more than just your current job or position. You tell the world who you are, what you are interested in, and you create your own space professionally, which will bring you opportunities throughout your career. This talk will walk you through the steps of creating and establishing your own personal brand. While the presentation walks you through the steps to create your personal brand, whether you are an employee or an entrepreneur, there are further steps that you will want to take if you are an entrepreneur. We touch on the extra steps toward the end of the presentation. We also realize that some of you are in careers or roles where you are limited to what you can say publicly due to confidentiality or the terms of your employment. We give guidance on this toward the end of the presentation, and if you need any additional help or want to brainstorm your particular situation, feel free to sign up to meet with Kate directly on katewalling.com. Here is an outline of our discussion today. First, we'll talk a little more about what a personal brand is and why you need one. Then, we're going to dive into the steps to creating your brand. And then, we want to discuss how to build your brand and get it out there. And finally, at the end, we'll give you a list of tools to use to help you along the way. We are happy to send you a copy of this presentation, so no need to take notes unless you really want to. To reiterate the importance of building a personal brand, we want to share this quote by Tom Peters. Tom is a business management consultant and author. He says, "All of us need to understand the importance of branding. We are CEOs of our own companies, Me Inc. To be in business today, our most important job is to be head marketer for the brand called you." As Tom says here, having a personal brand will help you manage your career and bring the best opportunities that align with who you are and what you have to share with the world. The next question you may have is exactly what is a personal brand? Your personal brand really is the authentic professional you. It is taking your professional talents, interests, opinions, strengths, and personality, and wrapping it all up in your personal style to show it to the world. This is why the initial steps of building a personal brand are all about tuning into yourself and organizing your thoughts and interests. We're going to take a dive in now and show you some examples of people who have created strong personal brands. You will notice that all of our examples are of marketers. That's because this is our space, and we are so especially tuned into marketing influencers. There are several leading influencers in every industry who have their own personal brand. You just really have to find them. Another quick note is that the examples we chose are people who are self-employed. Please don't let this throw you off if you are an employee. There really is no difference. A personal brand captures you and your experience, no matter if you are self-employed or an employee. So, with that said, here is our first example, Neil Patel, who is a well-known growth marketer. Neil develops marketing products from software to training classes and speaks nationally at marketing conferences. If you are a marketer, you've probably heard of him. Neil almost always includes his photo in everything he shows online, and he does do a great job articulating his experience. If you look at his website, you will find that he is well known for writing in-depth articles telling marketers exactly how to achieve results with different marketing techniques. Sharing his expertise at a granular level is part of his personal brand. Seth Godin is our next example. He was first known for his work as a marketing executive at Yahoo, and is now known as one of the top influential business writers. His personal brand carries through every word he writes and all the books and products he creates. We especially love how Seth Godin really takes his personal branding into his look. He has two main personal style trademarks, his yellow glasses and his bald head. You will see these emphasized on his book covers and on his blog. Incorporating your personal brand into the way you dress and style yourself is an extra step, but it always really stands out and helps people remember you. Kim Garst is our next example, and she is a marketing strategist and top social media influencer. She helps entrepreneurs with their businesses and is a keynote speaker and author. You'll notice that her photo shows her wearing a mic. This is important if you want to be a speaker. Definitely show yourself speaking. Our friends at LinkedIn mentioned a study where they A/B tested different profile pictures for a keynote speaker. He received much more engagement with a profile picture showing him speaking than a regular headshot. The last one I want to show you is Kate's website. We will show you examples throughout this presentation of how she brands herself for different purposes. So you can take a look at any time and use that as a reference as well. Now let's dive into the steps you'll take to create your own personal brand. It can be overwhelming to start, but this is a pretty fail-proof system. It just takes some time and thought. One important note is that these steps are meant to be completed in sequential order and over time, so don't feel overwhelmed by this presentation. You will want to take just one step at a time and give yourself room to think. We're happy to provide you with a copy of this presentation so that you have it for future reference as you work through the steps. These first 4 steps of listening, tuning in, finding your place, and identifying your audience are all about discovery and listening. The first step is to really start noticing what turns you on. Think about the books and writers that really resonate with you. What are you currently reading? You might underline sentences as you read and take photos of pages with your phone that stand out. The same goes for events, whether it's an industry or professional event or something you do for fun. It could be an art show, movie, or other cultural event. There are hints in everything that you do. For example, if you are a mom and that is part of your personal brand, shopping for your next school event or going to a birthday party are really relevant activities. So start also paying attention to articles and publications that you really like and think about why you like them. Maybe it's a new source for your industry. Maybe there's an outlet like Wired or Airbnb magazine that just make you feel really inspired. You might want to start dog-earing or ripping out pages that inspire you. Colors, visuals, quotes, and words often really speak to us and can all become part of our personal brands too. So be sure to take note of those as well. As you go about your daily life and notice all these things, take a moment to note all of them. We highly recommend the note-taking app Evernote for this. If you are in a rush, you can always email them to yourself or take photos with your phone and then organize them later, but the key is to take time to organize them. You will be happy with yourself that you did. Here are some tips and tools that we highly recommend using for this step. Feedly is a great news aggregator that is free. You download it as an app on your computer, and they also have a phone app. What happens is you select topics that you're interested in, and then Feedly suggests feeds that you should follow. You can also add any feeds you are currently following too. That way you have everything in one place. After it's set up, you'll see a list of all the latest articles when you open Feedly. As you read through, you can mark items read, so it is very easy to keep up with where you are. As we mentioned on the previous slide, we are big fans of note-taking apps. Evernote is the one we use, but there are many to choose from, including just the Notes app that comes on your iPhone, or Google Keep. We also have heard good things about NoteShelf. As you are finding interesting articles on Feedly, you get extra credit if you go ahead and start tweeting them. And the reason why is because there are benefits to it. First, you are creating a great archive on Twitter that is easy for you to scroll through at any time. And then you are starting to get your personal brand out there, which is great. The reason we recommend Twitter for this is because you don't want to overshare on most of your other social media platforms. People will start tuning you out, so you want to really save LinkedIn and Facebook for important news. Instagram is also not the right platform for sharing news articles, but you can share visuals of books you are reading and photos of events you are attending. If you really want to go for it and start using Twitter, we recommend using a tool like Buffer to schedule your tweets throughout the day. Buffer is about $15 a month. You can just go through your Feedly all at one time and set up tweets that Buffer will post on your Twitter while you are at work. The next step is to start thinking about things that you are really good at as you go throughout your day. Details about your process or observations that others may not pay attention to that make your work really stand out. You may want to note these things that come to mind, just like in the previous step. Of course, you won't want to share all details of everything you're doing because you want to protect the confidentiality of your employer or clients. So think about the overall process you are doing and how it applies more broadly. So an example would be an in-house marketer realizing that they have a unique process that helps their marketing team align with their sales team. While you can't give details on exactly how your marketing team works or particular campaigns you're doing, you can share communication strategies or other suggestions that help marketing leaders learn from you. The next step is really about finding your place. Now that you are paying attention to what's happening in your space, you want to start taking notes and discovering who has similar interests as you. One way to find influencers is to look on social media platforms like LinkedIn or Twitter, or just try a simple Google search. If your initial Google search doesn't do the trick, try looking for influencers in key cities. And as you tune into your list of influencers over time, you'll start seeing how they are similar and different from you. Take note of this and let it help you find your specific place in your industry. Your next step will be thinking about your audience. After you have followed other influencers, you want to start shifting to think about who would be interested in what you have to say. One way to do this is an old-fashioned brainstorm on paper. You can write down some people who might be interested in what you have to say and try to think about it from all angles. Maybe you'll attract people who are new to your field. Or what about entrepreneurs who need extra guidance? Or if you're a woman, will other women want to hear what you have to say? Or maybe people in your industry just need more public voices. Something that often works well is to look at the influencers you found in the previous step and then see who is interested in them. You do this by checking to see who follows them on social media. Now that you've done some initial discovery, the next process you'll want to start is building your personal brand and getting it out there. Just like the last set of steps we went through before, these steps are in sequential order, and you'll want to explore them over time. So to help you build your brand, we're going to talk through positioning, reviewing your online footprint, how to start sharing, and then how to build your audience. Positioning is the first step, and it's a really challenging one. So don't be afraid to ask for help. What you want to figure out in this step is how you are professionally unique and therefore what you can share with the world. To do this, you'll want to sit with all of your work you did in the previous steps. Try not to get overwhelmed as you look at it. The important thing to remember is that you have done all the discovery, and so the answer is in front of you. We always recommend that you sit with all your notes and then start writing a new master list. Sure, you'll have some crossover, but the idea here is to just have one reference sheet for all of the overall concepts you will bake into your personal brand. And once you have this list completed, you want to go through it item by item and make sure you feel really good and confident about each item. It's kind of like Marie Kondo's idea of holding all of your possessions and making sure they bring you joy. So if there is a topic on your list and you don't feel 100% confident with it, sit with it and tweak it until it feels right. A couple of years ago, Kate was building a high-end contemporary art startup. She wasn't really a huge collector of high-end contemporary art, and she really didn't feel comfortable being positioned as one, although that's what she was selling. She had a small collection, but her background in art really came from working with graphic designers when she had a marketing agency. She discovered that the best designers had often a fine art background, and so she started getting really interested in their artwork and their stories as artists. And as she thought about it, Kate started noticing that all the art in her collection really had some kind of social message. So she was able to tweak her art collector description to feel more like herself, just by talking about her love for art created in response to social movements and how much she likes to help artists tell their stories. So, long story short, you want to really embrace who you are and your own journey as you work on your personal brand. It will help you stay more connected to what you're doing and come off more authentically to people who want to learn from you. Now for your positioning extra credit. We strongly recommend finding someone who you know is a professional acquaintance and running what you're doing by them. Don't ask someone too close to you because you won't get the right feedback. When Kate first worked on positioning for her marketing consulting a couple years ago, she shared it with all of her close friends, who also happened to mostly be marketers. Their response was, "This is great, it's you." But when she later asked a chief marketing officer she didn't know about branding, she was like, I would never hire you. You could take my job, and in some of these photos on your website, you look like you're having way too much fun. We all still laugh about this, but really all Kate had to do was replace the photos on her website and work on communicating exactly how she helps marketing leaders. And then it was all cleaned up. I say this to all of you so I can hopefully convince you to ask someone you don't know too well for feedback. That's the trick. The next step is to review your online footprint. When you have your positioning down, you'll want to update all of your social media bios and get a really professional headshot and update your profile photo. People often ask us if they can have a different bio for each social media platform. Our recommendation is that you keep it consistent across the board. Are you ready for your extra credit? It might sound easy to do, but writing a really good social media bio can be hard. You have to squeeze everything in this tiny blip. So we often recommend getting a writer to help you with this. Upwork is a really great platform to find an affordable writer. You just post a job and writers will respond to it. You'll want to review all the writers' portfolios to find a style that you really like. This is not necessarily a job for a resume writer. You're really looking more for a creative copywriter type of person. And to help the writer help you, you'll want to provide them with a bullet list of all the top items you want mentioned. Your next step is starting sharing. If you haven't already started sharing articles, photos, and quotes on your social media, it's really time to dive in. One idea is to start with the next event you attend. You can post a photo of the event on your Instagram, then share a quote from a speaker at the event on Twitter. And then, of course, invite people you meet at the event to connect with you on LinkedIn. This should be your standard event practice. Outside of events, the next step is to really be thinking about what articles you could write and share. You might revisit the list you've made so far and see if a topic sticks out. Another approach is to look for a topic that is very current, either in your life or in the news. Once you've written your first article, share it on all of your social media, and then see if any speaking opportunities come up where you could share the same topic. It is a very good idea to try and match speaking opportunities with topics you have already written about. Now for your extra credit. A lot of people think you have to consistently write new articles, but to be honest, it's totally fine if you only write 2 to 4 pieces a year, especially if you're an employee. The goal is to have evergreen articles out there that you can point to whenever you need them. If you want to land a speaking engagement or new role, you can share your article to show off your expertise. We realize that writing articles can feel really hard and overwhelming, but don't worry, there is an easy answer to that. Hire a ghostwriter. It is perfectly fine to do this. You just write down bullet points and then hire the ghostwriter to write it for you. You can hire the writer through Upwork. It will be about $150 to $200 for an average article, but if you want something really good, really well researched, then count on closer to $300. The trick is to find a writer who has a style that really resonates with you. If you don't like their examples, then you definitely won't like what they write for you. Now, when you have an article ready to publish, you'll want to publish it on LinkedIn and also on Medium. Then you just share the article on all of your other social media accounts and ask your coworkers and friends to read it and give you feedback. When you have written 4 more articles, start thinking about building a personal blog and putting your articles on it. You can build your own blog using Wix or Squarespace, and this gives your articles a place to live together. Now, let me tell you about Canva. We love Canva. You know those really pretty Instagram or Facebook images people use to post quotes or announcements? Well, more than likely they were made with Canva. A basic Canva account is free, and they have lots of templates you can use to make social media posts to announce your new articles. Another thing we always recommend is that you keep a list or spreadsheet of all your personal contacts and people you meet at events and at work. Then, if you ever decide to go really big with your personal brand, you will have an email list you can use to distribute your content and updates. This is especially important for entrepreneurs. The last step to building your personal brand is to build your audience. Let's be real. In order to have a personal brand in the first place, you need people to be interested in you. But it is totally up to you to figure out how large of an audience you want. If you want to be a public speaker, entrepreneur, or author, it can be pretty important to start thinking a little bigger. You will get hired if it's clear that you have a following. If you love being an employee and you want to build a personal brand for a specific industry or to help you land for future jobs, it's fine if your audience is a little smaller. Now, to build your audience, you'll need to find quality followers, and the best way to do that is to look at the followers of influencers like you. You can follow their followers and then unfollow them later if they do not follow you back. The same goes for industry publications or any event series you happen to attend. If you really get into this and start feeling too time constrained, there are tools and growth services that can help. Don't worry, we're not encouraging you to buy followers or use bots. There are lots of different tools and different ways to do this. We highly encourage you to only use methods that get you real followers and that don't use bots. If you prefer to do it yourself, so you don't have to give up access to your accounts, there are tools for that too that will still speed things up for you. If you get into this, you'll realize that new tools are released all the time. So if you need any recommendations, email us, and when you're ready to go, we'll let you know which tools we recommend at the time. Now that we've talked a lot about building your audience, I want to talk about social media platforms and which you should use. We get a lot of questions about this. As you guys know, social media platforms are always changing, and some people wonder if it's even worth it to use them. And the truth is that most platforms are not what they once were. Twitter has probably evolved the most in terms of professional use. We used to close deals on Twitter years ago, and Kate was even offered a Bravo TV show from all of her social media activity. Those days are over, but social media is still really important. People just use it a little differently. For Twitter, we highly recommend that you have a profile that you share at least one tweet every 3 to 6 weeks. If you're new to Twitter, you might want to spend 3 to 6 months building your audience on the platform and just getting used to it. The reason Twitter is still relevant is because people like to go to Twitter profiles to figure out what you think and what you're up to. So you'll still want to share your professional thoughts, quotes from events you attend, and articles that inspire you. For Instagram, the reason it's important is because it's where all the influencers engage right now, and it allows you to show yourself in a different medium. So for Instagram, start showing off your work life a bit and also your interests. LinkedIn is the most important social network for you professionally. This is where you want to share your articles you have written. You'll also want to announce any big professional news you have. We recommend logging in about once a week to go through your timeline and see what others are doing and liking their posts. Facebook is the platform that many people like to keep private, but thanks to filters, you can decide who sees what content. So we recommend not totally counting it out for work. Just make sure you are controlling who sees what posts. Some of you may have professional limitations that make sharing content very difficult. This is common for attorneys and anyone working in cybersecurity. Kate's recommendation in this situation is to find and share interests that are complementary to your industry, but that do not involve your career directly. An example of this would be an attorney sharing their love for negotiation, or history books and authors. Remember that if you are uncomfortable sharing online because of professional limitations, there are always other mediums. Let's say you're interested in being a speaker. You could make a one-sheet that outlines topics you can speak to and quotes from people you have seen speak before. You can also make a one-pager that helps you land your next job. Designed CVs are a great way to say more than you can in a resume. You'll see Kate's one-pager on this slide. She uses this to help marketing teams and CEOs understand how she can help them with their marketing. She emails a PDF version of this and also gives out hard copies to potential clients. If any of you need a standalone personal brand, the next step is to make your brand its own visual identity. You'll want to create these items, especially if you are an entrepreneur, author, or just really ambitious. Creating a tagline, logo, color palette, business cards, website, and letterhead will all work to bring your whole brand to life and give you a solid platform for whatever you want to accomplish in life. But if you are an entrepreneur or if you have multiple projects going on, you may need a strategy that maps your personal brand to your startup or projects. Getting that framed and connected just right will be a bit more of a process, but it will be worth it. It will make your story consistent and clear. Here is the list of tools we promised you. Go ahead and screenshot it or reach out and we'll send you a copy of the deck. Just to go over these one more time, Feedly is the news aggregator that helps you find articles. Evernote is the note-taking app we recommend. Buffer also allows you to schedule social media posts in advance. Upwork helps you hire affordable freelancers to help you with writing or design projects. Wix and Squarespace are affordable website builders that are relatively simple to use. Canva will help you create those beautiful social media posts very easily. Unsplash, which we have not mentioned yet, is a free stock photography site. You can use it to find photographs for your articles. MailChimp is a newsletter platform. If you get really advanced and want to start sending out your articles to your contacts, this tool will help you do that and track who opens and clicks links in your messages. For social media growth services, please email us at kate@katewalling.com. They change very often, and we want to give you the latest recommendation. We're so happy you joined and listened today. We would love to connect with you, so please feel free to reach out with questions. You can schedule a one-on-one meeting directly with Kate at any time at katewalling.com. Thanks again, and I hope your day is going well.